Geeks and Ghouls. Today we're talking about We Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley. This is the book I've read. Of course, yes, it's a translated edition, but what gives? And I've read it as part of the horror mayhem. The theme for week 2 was gothic horror, and I have to say that this book was definitely gothic, and I would say that yes, it had a lot of elements of psychological horror. I wouldn't say it was exactly gothic horror, but what gives, I want to read it, so I read it. Guilty. After all, that's a reading challenge, so yes, it's about participating, not about winning or something. So, what is this book about? It's the second novel I've read from Shirley Jackson. I've read The Haunting in the Hill House, and I've noticed a lot of similarities. Both they're gothic in nature, and they're about an old house with secrets, and also they're told through the perspective of an emotionally challenged young woman. In We Always Lived in the Castle, we have two sisters, Constance and Mericat. Our point of view is Mericat, the younger of the sisters, and they live in this big estate in Vermont along with their invalid uncle Julian. 6 or 7 years ago, their entire family died. They were poisoned. There was poison in their sugar, and Constance went on trial for this, but she was acquitted. But the locals did not acquit Constance. So the family, they're pariahs. Everybody hates them. Constance is agoraphobic. She never comes out of their house. Mericat goes to the town to get supplies every week, and she is clearly bullied by the people in the village. However, Mericat is not exactly emotionally stable either. She is clearly some sort of trapped in arrested development, because she has this habit of creating stories in her head, of believing that they are going to go to the moon. She is casting spells to protect the family. She has some very weird ideas, and yeah, clearly not everything is right with Mericat. And things escalate when their long-estranged cousin Charles comes to the house. He hits it on with Constance, but Mericat hates him, and it's very clear that he's there to get the money that the girls have inherited from their parents. And things happen, alright? And we get to the climax of the book is clearly disturbing. The way it escalates the climax and the way everything happens at the 2/3 of this book, they're not a pleasant read. And what happens afterward, alright? It's not horror per se, it's not horrifying, it's not gory, but it hit a lot of bottom. The way that the two sisters are exiled is not exactly pleasant, let's say, and how they're treated, how they're the outcasts and the scapegoats in the society, and how the people treat them. It's not a pleasant read, but it is quite great. And that's the non-spoiler part of the video. I want to go to some spoilers now, because when you read a good book, you want to talk about it, alright? We go into spoilers now, alright? Early on, you get this hint that it was not Constance who poisoned the sugar, but it probably was Mericat, because she is emotionally unstable, and clearly she has a mean streak in her, along with her childhood innocence, and she's a young adult by the point this book starts. So yeah, not everything is right with Mericat. Or Uncle Julian, and Constance is clearly trying to cope. She's probably agoraphobic, like Shirley Jackson. Alright, Shirley Jackson was agoraphobic. That was an interesting fact I discovered after reading the book and looking up into it. And yeah, it kind of makes sense how her books are about. I mean, the lottery is like agoraphobia 101. So yeah, you get this hint that yes, Mericat is not exactly... she's unhinged. and the way she acts when Charles is there, and the mean pranks she kinds of pull. You can see that not everything's fine with her, right? Let's stick to this. And when she sets the house on fire, it's her madness fully unveiled. Her mean streak is there, so that leads to the climax when the fire department comes and they try to put out the fire. And after they do that, the onlookers, the people from the nearby village, just ransack the house because they hate the sisters. Charles is worried about them getting the safe out of the house so he can have the Blackwood money, because his side of the family, his father was the brother to the girl's father and Uncle Julian, and he lost all his money, so he's there to get some money from the family inheritance, I guess. And he only cares about this. Uncle Julian dies, and then we see the final dregs of sanity tear off from Constance. We see the sisters go into the house and they live there away from everybody. They barricade themselves in, and you see the people from the village coming and telling stories about those evil sisters that kill people in the house to their children, and it's sort of like witches. It's the evil hag legend that is created around the two sisters, and that was a very interesting fact, and how people feel guilty and they leave them food, and how they try to survive on their own. It wasn't a pleasant read, especially the fire scene where everything crumbles down was very disturbing to read. And actually, this is something that gave me the psychological horror aspect of it, because before that was just a gothic novel, but after reading this, it was clearly horror. It was clearly psychological horror, and the way the sisters react after that. And I think this is a very interesting book to read for this reason, because it kind of plays off the old recluse, weird person, the hag sisters who live outside of the village in their ruined house, and they eat children, how this legend is created and how society is evil. And I've said again and again that I love the trope of societies of evil, and here we have a perfect example of it. It's like, there was a murder. Constance allegedly killed her family, but was Mericat, actually, and she put poison mushrooms in the sugar to get rid of them, because it's Mericat, I guess, and Constance took the fall to protect her. She basically sacrificed a lot to save her sister. And then the way the book ends with Charles returning and trying to talk with Constance and change her mind and actually get her to come out, and feeling guilt because he realizes he did a lot for the money, but he was not in the right, and he didn't care about the girls when the fire went on. He cared about the safe. Again, the girls, I'm not sure if the safe is destroyed or if they're unable to get to the second floor, but they live in the kitchen, who was not set on fire for after the fire, and they try to do with the little kitchenware that were not broken by the mob. So clearly it wasn't a pleasant book to read, but it was very interesting and I did like it. And if you have read this book, I would love to hear your comments about it. As always, thank you for watching and stay spooky.